All right, I'm going to show you how to change colors when you're working with a step file. This isn't going to apply to STLs. It should apply to object and, well, object files usually come in color already. Not a lot of people work with those files though. 3MF should be able to color it this way as well usually. STLs you're going to have to paint. Those are bottom of the barrel when it comes to files. Um, but I have a lot of people that get my files and they try to paint them using the paint tool. The only thing I suggest using the paint tool for is maybe getting a little bit of accent color in there. Otherwise, don't click on it and then use your paint tool to paint sections. It only penetrates like one layer. It comes out like shit. I don't know what's wrong with the Bambu Studio or any of the slicers when it comes to coloring, but they just don't. That painting tool just doesn't penetrate the right way. And ended up leaving it faded, or you end up seeing the what are those lines called? This the infill lines behind it, whatever it may be, flushing lines. So what you're gonna want to do though is you're just gonna to paint these properly. Is you're gonna switch from global, right underneath all your filaments, right above all your settings, global to objects. Go to object view. If it's a grill you get from me, unless I'm feeling lazy one day and I just don't label them, the color's always going to be labeled, so they're super easy for you to just pick the colors. I try to make it as user friendly as possible. To change the color, all you got to do is go over here to this box and click the color associated with that part. Now, of course, you can change these colors to whatever you want, but it makes it a lot easier. And that's all you have to do. The other thing I keep seeing people doing, which doesn't make any sense to me, is they paint everything all the way to the back, leaving, I'll show you, usually it looks like this. It'll be all one color or all your colors all the way to the back. You're just wasting a shit ton of filament. 1 millimeter of color penetration is all you need on the front face. Anything after that's pretty much a waste because there's just a ton of color swaps for no reason. 1 millimeter gives you a nice, beautiful face when it comes to logos or whatever you have on the front. The other thing I see people doing is having the grill a solid different color all the way through, and you're creating a weak spot when you do that. For whatever reason, these aren't going to bind to each other. Most times, more times than not, they don't bind to each other when you're using different color PETG. So what I suggest doing for everybody, and the way I set all mine up, is you want to paint the back down about black. So you can use your paint tool for that. You're just going to want to paint. You want to paint by layer or height range. Go 1.2 is fine. Go to the back. Meant to use this one. Just paint that back half black. Now see, you can't really even notice it on this. You don't see a difference. But now your whole grill face and your logo is now intertwined with the frame, and it's going to be strong as hell. And you're not going to have a weak point because of the colors. So those are the basics of coloring a grill inside of Bambu. It's going to be the same for any cubic or Orca. Now the other thing I keep seeing is people printing their grills like this, with a shit ton of supports, comes out like crap. You want to print grills face down. I don't think I've seen anybody that's made any that would print better the other way or that are made to print face up. So there's this button right here, which is called auto orient, and it's going to orient the object that's on the build plate the proper way to print the fastest, um, as well as the best quality and the one that makes the most sense. It's right down here, but next to the bed as well. You're just gonna hit click. You're just gonna click auto orient, and boom. Now it puts it in the best position to print the fastest with the best quality. No supports, or least amount of supports. The only supports you should need on a grill are pretty much the screw holes. That's about it. That button will save you a lot of time instead of having to do this. You save that whole extra 10 seconds by just clicking that. Another thing, another little button that will help out. A lot of people's have issues with dark colors stringing and getting caught in the light colors of your logo. To change that up, what I always suggest is to do your light colors first. So you're going to click this hexagon. You're going to go down to first layer filament sequence. It should be stock, it's on auto. And when it's on auto, it almost always prints black first, which more times than not leaves strings across the bed. Little ones you can't even see half the time until you pick your grill up off the printer bed and you've got black string going through your 3-hour print that you just sat there and waited for it to get finished and thought it was going to be perfect, and then you get a nice little black string going through it. So what I suggest is come down, click customize, change your lightest colors by dragging them to first. So it's going to print white first, red second, blue third, gray fourth. It's only 4 colors, so but it will print black last. I always make it so that black is printed last, and that will save you from getting those black strings in your grill. A couple other features in Bambu that are helpful. If you're having things that are sticking or falling, like some of these things, you can use brim for large flat prints or prints that don't have a lot of surface area covering the bed. Just for this, for example, instead of using a whole brim all the way around, you can use the dog ear function, which is this, or brim ear function they call it in here. You can just go around to the corners or wherever you want. A lot of times I'll do one right there, one right there. So then when you slice it, alright, I didn't want to show up on this one for whatever reason, but you're going to have, because of this. You can adjust them. I don't know why it's not showing up, but you're going to have little feet that go all the way around instead of having a brim and all that extra material. And you can kind of just, you can use that to hold down corners and stuff, especially on like boxes or big square flat prints. If you use multiple plates like I do, which is probably hectic for most people, instead of changing all your settings for all the plates, you can change per object. So if you go to object views again, so on that plate I've got these 3 different things, and they all generally have different parameters. So this one uses 2 walls, 35% infill, whereas this one uses 3 walls, 20% infill. You can change all your settings right here for each object instead of having to change it for every object in your build space. So like this one has a few supports, whereas these don't. Just things like that. It's the basics of Bambu Studio. I mean, the only other one that I mean, everybody should know how to do this by this point, is how to add a file. Just click that plus button over there. That's how you add files. These are all your settings. There is the auto arrange button, which is nice. I use this all the time. It arranges things nicely on plates. You can do it by plate too. Just click arrange. Oh, look at that. Oh, I guess there was one other thing I wanted to show everybody, because for whatever reason, nobody knows how to do this either. I'm going to add a negative part. So, where's that? Just use the back plate. So this is that box I just made. So if you want to add your own speaker holes on a blank plate, there's these features that are really nice. They're all these different things. So adding a negative part is what I use most times. Take your cylinder, click center, make sure the other part is right clicking, is centered. It's grayed out, so that means it's centered. It's probably not now because I just moved it. And then you're going to take your negative part. I'm going to change the dimensions. Uniform scale is okay, but your Z is never going to be really... You don't need your Z uniform with your X and Y, especially not on a cylinder. So, but I believe... We'll just say a general 6.5 inch speaker is roughly actually your cutout for a 6.5 is usually 147. So we're gonna do that. 147. Change this down to like 10. So now we've just got this big random weird opaque circle. Make sure you line it up so it's going all the way through whatever you're using it on, because what it's going to do is cut out wherever this gray area is of that object is going to cut out that area. So now you have a hole. This is great for making keychains. This is great for adding speaker holes to a lot of different things. If you just need to cut something off of something you're printing, just use that right click, add negative part. There's a bunch of different ones you can choose from. You can also add parts. Say you wanted to make a keychain ring or something. You can just add random shit at will. This would be the quick, easy way to make a keychain ring. Bang, bang, boom. Not that it makes any sense on this part, but that's how you add negative parts. The other thing is if you just want to... Another thing that right click option. Say you want to, this model, when it prints, would technically the slicer would put supports on all of this shit, which is not needed. So you can either do, there's two things you can do. You can paint on your own supports like I did, which is this button right here. You would paint on your supports where you need it. Mine needs it right there, and then that little spot, and that's it. And then over here you would just switch to tree manual or normal manual, depending on what kind of supports you want. But, or you can also do, for some things, it doesn't matter which way you do it, you can do add support blocker. Now, wherever that box is going to block some supports from printing. So, normally there'd be supports right here, but it's going to stop them. That's what support blocker is used for. It can be a helpful tool. I use it all the time. And switch over to other window. Here's another feature that I like to use. This one's called add modifier. So whatever's inside that modifier, this little yellow box, is going to be, you're going to be able to modify just that little section. So like on this model, those arms and hands are a weak spot. The rest of the body prints super solid with 25% infill, 2 to 3 walls, even 20% infill. Those arms and hands do not. They like to snap off pretty easily. So what you're going to do, you make those, you right click, add a modifier, cube, cylinder, whatever, put it around the piece that you want to modify. For this case, because they break off easy, I want to modify those arms and hands. So I put that on there. Now I can change the infill, the strength, the quality, the strength, and the speed, whatever, of whatever's inside that box. So my normal print settings are 24.24 millimeter layer height, infill's 20, walls 2. Inside those cubes, though, for those arms, I've got 8 walls, 15% infill, which makes those arms and hands much stronger than if I were just to print it all the same. And you can see that once you slice it, you can see how it's different. You can see that it makes it almost solid with those 8 wall loops, whereas this still has infill even inside that small channel. This fills those up nice and solid, so that they're much stronger. And it also, where it meets the body, fills it up really nice and strong as well, so that it has a nice pairing spot. That's pretty much the basics of all the issues that I keep seeing on Bambu, as far as changing colors and adding this or doing this or running things upside down and sideways. Hopefully it's helpful to some of you. I don't care if it is or not, really, but hopefully it is. I'm just hoping that you guys are so happy that I got this mic. You get to hear my beautiful voice and stuttering, because I hate fucking using it.